Hello, welcome to the 1516 Biology Curriculum Overview for Unit 12, Plant Systems. I am your presenter, Erica Ingram. Okay, now as we look at our instructional focus document, Unit 12, Plant Systems or Plant Structure and Adaptation has a suggested duration of 10 days from TRS, but on the GPIS DEAG, we've allotted 8 days starting March 28th through April 6th. Our processing skills are noted here in black, our supporting standards are in green, and our readiness standards in red. Our newest standard for this unit, out of all of the other SEs, is B10B. All of the other SEs are being inspired in from previous units, so this is the newest SE. As we go further into the presentation, I'll go more in depth about the prior to this unit, but we do know this is used for our engage or shaping our engage activity, accessing student prior knowledge, and during this unit it instructs us on how the lesson should be developed, the flow of the concepts, and how they should build. So after they've gained all of this knowledge during this unit, after this unit, the students will learn about body systems in animals, and they'll be able to make the comparison between plant systems and body systems. Looking at our district data is incomplete for 14-15 school year, therefore that's why you see no data. So there's really no true comparison I can give you in this presentation. However, you can look at the district Q for 13-14 summative data and compare it to your campus 14-15 Q4 data, but for the district that data was not available. Over the years from 2012 to 2015, we can see that there's been some changes or some growth in some SEs. We've demonstrated growth in B5B as well as B11A, and it's been consistent growth each year, so therefore we want to definitely see increased growth over the STAR 2016. We've decreased over the years, increase, decrease over the years with the SEs that I put dashes by. So all in all, looking at Unit 12, definitely this is one of those units that those SEs are being spiraled in for a reason. So when it gets time to take the STAR, the students must be able to apply those concepts that are being spiraled in to all of the concepts that they've been addressed, especially with Unit 12 on plant systems. Okay, looking at B4B, a question from 2014, we can see that the examined specialized cells, including roots, stems, and leaves of plants, are our focus for this unit. And in this question, it is assessing plant cells, not animal cells. And so the hair-like cells, which are specialized cells called trichomes, at the end of the question is that they secrete a toxic substance, and if a plant is secreting a toxic substance, its purpose is to protect itself. And so the answer that best reflects that answer would be B, protecting against herbivorous insects. Okay, as we look at some state questions from Release STAR, B7E is one of our readiness standards, and I'm not going to go through each one of these questions in depth. I just want to give you an overview of looking at the SE and understand how it's been assessed. And so this SE is discussing, analyzing, evaluating relationships of natural selection to adaptation and to the development of diversity in and among species. And as you read through the question, it's talking about seed dispersal and how does this give a reproductive advantage. And so as you relate it back to what natural selection is, which is survival of the fittest, understanding only the strong will survive, and if your seeds are dispersing, you have more offspring, and if they're dispersed in a way that reduces competition for resources, that makes it better for even more survival of different species, which allows that diversity to occur. So the answer for this one was F. Now for B10B readiness standard, there will be 3 different questions, one from each year, 2015, 14, and 13. And each one of these questions are assessing different parts of the SE. So the SE reads, B10B, describe the interactions that occur among systems that perform the functions of transport, reproduction, and response in plants. And so when you look at this question, you want to understand which part of this SE is being assessed. And the question is, structures represented in the illustration below are found in the lower epidermis of a plant leaf. The illustration at right shows a response to a certain environmental condition. The response represented in the illustration would most likely be caused by, and the correct answer is D, little available water, which is causing the cells to shrink. Therefore, this part of the SE that's been assessed is response in plants. Now, looking at another question over B10B, it's the same SE, it's just been duplicated in the same SE section. But looking at the question, it says, how do plant systems work together to make this movement of liquid possible? And so to understand what movement of liquid it's referring to, of course, you would have to read the whole scenario that was provided before the question. However, this is a writing standard. It's utilizing a processing skill. And according to the state, 84% of our students got this question correct as well. And because we're also discussing which part of the SC, we're discussing the transport. So when you're talking about the movement of the liquid, you're talking about the transport of the liquid. And that's how the state is assessing. And lastly, looking at a 2013 question over 10B, same readiness standard. It says copper is a micronutrient that can be found in soil. Copper is important for reproductive growth in plants and plays an indirect role in chlorophyll production. Which statement correctly describes the interaction that occurs between the root and the shoot systems of plants to allow reproduction to occur? Okay, so they want to understand what's the interaction that's occurring between the root and the shoot systems in order for reproduction to occur. And the correct answer is G. Copper that is absorbed by the roots is transported to reproductive tissues by the shoot system. And if you look real closely about what this question is assessing, you would think that it's assessing only transport, but it's really assessing transport and reproduction. Do you understand how reproduction is able to occur based off the function of transport that's occurring? So when I look at this, I see that it's assessing both of these concepts. Okay, looking at B11A, I just want to make a correction here. This is not B11A. That is an error on the star release exam. The B11ASE, which is a supporting standard, is describe the role of internal feedback mechanisms in the maintenance of homeostasis. So we're looking at internal feedback mechanisms, their role in maintaining homeostasis. And so we look at question 51 from the 2013 assessment. It says, as it relates to plants, changes in water pressure within guard cells cause the cells to open or close the stoma. This response helps the plant maintain homeostasis by, and the correct answer is to regulate the amount of water the plant loses during transpiration. And so what was the internal feedback mechanism? That mechanism was guard cells, and it's to, again, maintain homeostasis by regulating the amount of water that's going in and out, or the amount of water that's being lost. Okay, B11B, a 2015 question. This question is, what is most likely the benefit of a mechanism for the plant? And here, this is the plant without a stimulus, and this is the plant with the stimulus of touch. And so as it relates back to this SE, it says investigate and analyze how organisms, populations, and communities respond to external factors. And the external factor here again is the touch of the human hand, which is a type of tropism. and here that tropism is stigmotropism. And so the correct answer to this question would be C, protection from herbivores by becoming less attractive. Okay, and lastly, B11C says to summarize the role of microorganisms in both maintaining and disrupting the health of both organisms and ecosystems. So this is really a two-part question. We're looking at maintaining the health of organisms, maintaining the health of ecosystems, disrupting the health of organisms, and disrupting the health of ecosystems. And so as we look at the question says, a student sets up a compost bin outdoors. Inside the bin, microorganisms convert the student's vegetable and paper scraps into rich fertilizer. Which of the following best describes the role these microorganisms play in natural habitats? And so now we're looking specifically at summarizing the role of microorganisms in maintaining ecosystems. And so the question here, the answer to the question would be G. The microorganisms keep nutrients cycling through the ecosystem. Because that's a part of how we maintain the ecosystem, or microorganisms maintain the ecosystem. Okay, now looking at our performance assessments, we can see that there are two performance assessments that should be covered over 8 days. However, my suggestion to you would be to combine PA 1 and 2 into one PA. There is no modified GPISD PA for Unit 12 due to those sessions stopping as we were preparing for STAR. So in reference to these, definitely go ahead and combine them into one PA. Therefore, you can cover both of these concepts, which are relevant to each other, over one lesson cycle and get it through before the end. So I would definitely combine the two. If you have any questions or need help with that, please contact me directly. And again, as we look at the specificity for those SEs, we can see that B5B, B7E, B10B, and B11B are covered in PA1. And again, B5B and B10B are also covered in PA2, in addition to B10C. So I've placed the two SEs here that are present in both of those PAs, but once you combine them, you'll definitely be focusing on them at the same time. So B5B is here. It has the examine, and because it says your verb is to examine, there should definitely be lab investigations occurring to examine specialized cells, and these are the different types of specialized cells that are included. But again, it says including but not limited to. I know it's a little blurry, but you can look in the IFD and see it more clearly for yourself. And B10B is here about the interactions that occur amongst the systems performing transport, reproduction, and response in plants. Again, this is your specificity, and you are to describe those interactions. So we saw how the state's interpreting that SE as we looked at the questions from the STAR release test. So if you have any questions, again, please let me know. And real briefly, as I continue to go through, you have your essential questions that are to be utilized throughout your lesson cycle. I definitely encourage you to use these as guiding question or a daily question, as well as you can use this in the explain phase. Use those essential questions to see if the students understand the big picture. Once you combine these two PAs, all these questions will be under one PA, so you can use them accordingly throughout your lesson cycle. We have our key content vocabulary that will be our focus throughout the unit, as well as a slew of additional related vocabulary. Addressing the misconceptions or developing lab activities to address those misconceptions will be very useful. And underdeveloped concepts, and those are really difficult sometimes for the students to understand the maintenance of homeostasis in plants, as it also occurs in animals as well. Understanding that Plants are capable of sexual reproduction and what that looks like, and understanding that flowers are the reproductive adaptations for those plants and how they respond and perform. So definitely address those misconceptions and underdeveloped concepts throughout your lesson cycle. And real quickly, I just wanted to touch back on using a prior to the unit to shape your engaged activity, and making note of the during this unit and how it's set up. And as you can see how the during this unit is set up, it also corresponds to the PA and how the PAs are set up and in that order. So if you follow the during this unit as it is written in that order and addressing the concepts in that order, it will help the students to better understand how these concepts connect to what they have learned previously. Prior to this unit is very important simply because they have to understand the big picture of what they did in the previous unit and now how it's going to connect to this new unit over plant systems. So if I just covered taxonomy and classification, if I just went over viruses, bacteria, I need to understand those different components and how now it's going to be relevant to plant systems. So definitely want to bridge that gap between so that students can understand the big picture. If they can understand the big picture, they can answer the essential question. If they can answer the essential question, then they can do the performance assessment. If they can do the performance assessment, they can do well on the STAR exam and answer any big picture question. And to wrap up, here are a few important reminders. STAR A accommodations, again, are available on the Discovery Ed Board Builder. It's under the Assessment and Research folder. We have SST Strategic Science Talk. I am uploading these curriculum overviews on there as well. If you need to get the join code, please contact me directly to retrieve it. If you have any awesome lesson, exemplar lessons, activities, rubrics, etc. that you want to share, please upload it to the Secondary Science Shifter Resource Dropbox. I have also uploaded exemplar lessons throughout the year that you can also use in your summit reviews or any other topic review that you may be having leading up to summit. Again, there will be no biology Q for a 3-week or 6-week district assessment. We will have the Q4 summative that will be the last week of school, June 1st to the 3rd, and it will be covering units 10 through 13. I hope that this curriculum overview for Unit 12 plants and plant systems has been useful, and that you will find it beneficial as you begin to plan your 5A lesson cycle. If there is anything that I can do to assist, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.